The time is exactly 10 o'clock. We are running very late with the show this morning, but we will still try and get in our final two interviews. Next, we are going to be talking with Dr. Anthony Turton. He is a water expert, and we're going to be looking at the shocking and disastrous situation of approximately 60% of Durban's beaches currently closed due to the sewage crisis. Dr. Anthony Turton, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. Nice talking to you after a very, very long time.
Good morning to you and the listeners. Thank you very much for having me back.
Okay, so the situation, we understand that the eThekwini municipality is touting figures in the millions. I think it's 142 odd million rand just for the cleanup, but there just ain't enough money in the fiscus for addressing this situation. I think it was a detailed report presented to the council's executive committee, states that at least 706 million rands is needed to repair the sewage treatment and allied systems damaged during the floods earlier this year. Does that sound feasible to you?
This is not a money problem. If it was a money problem, we could just add more money to it and solve it. And the reason I say it's not a money problem is I draw attention to what's been happening at Mfuleni. Mfuleni had a sewage breakdown some years ago. R1 billion was thrown at that problem. They're still no closer to R1 billion. Then they deployed the NDF to go and fix up the problem, and another R1 billion was thrown at that. So that's R2 billion down the tubes. They got a number of court orders, etc. And now, many, many years later, almost half a decade later, we still don't have a solution to the problem. So it's not a money problem at all. In fact, I would go so far as to say that the game that's being played, because it is a game, is that it would appear that as if the ruling party is very skilled at turning a problem into cash flow. And that cash flow goes to preferred bidders or preferred comrades that benefit from the system. And that's the problem. The problem is not about money. It's about inappropriate solutions and contracts being given to unqualified people through a very, very convoluted and corrupt process. That is the heart of our problem.
So we're throwing good money after bad, and it's just costing taxpayers more and more and more. And the greedy and the corrupt just get richer and richer. Is there an easy, quick fix solution for us to be prepared and ready in time for the tourist season this December? Because that's going to hit us badly if KZN loses out on that revenue stream, which I should imagine they're very dependent on.
Yes, it would be a disaster if that tourism industry had to collapse. I'm active down at the south coast. I'm actually at Port Edward at the moment. And tourism is a vital injection of cash into the local economy. So we have to protect that tourism. And what we see happening in the south coast, for example, is that all of your tourism operators have invested their own money to mostly go off-grid. So they've got water supply available other than from the municipality. But of course, that doesn't solve the sewage problem in the ocean, because the problem now on the beaches is that you've got sewage flows into the ocean. And that, unfortunately, is not an easy fix, because it comes down to the application of the law. We've got over 1,000 wastewater treatment works. We have 825 plus minus wastewater treatment works in the country. And of those, probably 60% are dysfunctional. So this is it's a municipal failure. It's a failure of the state. It's a failure of the local authority across at least 60% of the country. So it's an institutional failure, and it's. I've recently been saying that we have a situation where the ANC is in power, but they're not in control. There's a difference between being in power and being in control. And now to suddenly wake up at the last minute and say we're going to do something between now and the tourist season, which is a month away, I'm afraid that's shutting the door after the horse has bolted.
And unfortunately, once again, another blow to the country in terms of tourism or tourist revenue, because we've just come out of COVID and you think we can start putting our lives back together again. Then we had the July insurrection and we're just now beginning to put our lives together again. And then we had that water bomb in KZN, and we just think, okay, we can now put our lives back together again, only to find that we've been hard hit by absolute rife wholesale corruption, which has brought us to this juncture. Is it at all possible? Is it salvageable? Can anything or something be done at this late juncture?
Yes, I think at this late juncture, it's very difficult to make a meaningful difference. But what would be a good starting point is if the law is applied. So the law that is applicable to all institutions, including municipalities, about the discharge into rivers must simply be applied. And unfortunately, the situation we have at the moment, with at least 60% of our wastewater works dysfunctional, means that the state is the biggest single polluter of water in the country. Now, this is untenable because it also means that the state has lost the moral authority to apply the pollution legislation to the mining industry and to other heavy users of water. So, if you've lost the moral authority to govern by not applying the law or selectively applying the law, then you're in a very dangerous situation. So I think the short-term thing would be to stop the municipal wastewater works discharging raw and untreated sewage into the rivers, and to fix up all of the manholes that have been popped. And that's a complex job because it's taken 2 decades to get to this situation. But that has to be done, and that could possibly be done if there's a concerted effort in the next month.
Anthony, my final question to you then is, what about the residents of KZN, as a whole, the entire province? Are they at risk at all regarding, we know the beaches are contaminated, but their drinking water, is it safe enough for them to consume their drinking water? I'm also wondering about other health facilities, hospitals, etc. Are these people not all at risk?
Well, I don't want to be alarmist in what I'm saying now, but it's common cause that there is a loss of trust between the public and the state. So, if the state comes forward and says, that the water is safe to drink, then people generally have got very good reason to misbelieve them. We do, in fact, have world-class water treatment entities in South Africa. Umgani Water, which is very active in the KZN, is recognized as a world-class leader in what they do.
Wow.
So we have to get back to trusting them, and to when they say it's safe, we must believe it.
I'm just wondering if legal action shouldn't be taken against the authorities that have brought us to this point. Would that make a difference at all, or will that be a very laborious, long drawn-out process?
In my professional opinion, legal action makes absolutely no difference at all, because all that happens is that, firstly, there's the use of your taxpayers' money to fight the legal case. So you're using your own money to fight the case against you. So that doesn't make sense. And secondly, with the culture of impunity that the current government has, no one's ever held accountable. So unless you can lay a criminal charge against an individual, that will be the game changer. And the good news is, I think you're starting to see that appetite coming forward. Because, we're starting to see a policy shift in government when they talk about cadre deployment. I just saw recently that COMTA has welcomed the scrapping of the cadre deployment program. That's good news. But now we have to start holding somebody criminally liable. And in fact, I would say the place to start with the criminal liability would be in that UPL fire that happened in the riots a year ago. Because that UPL fire is probably far more dramatic and damaging than sewage pollution is, because in that case you had the emitting of massive amounts of toxins that have gone into the environment, and they are persistent toxins. They will be around maybe for the next generation. And that all comes down to a failure of governance and a failure in the regulatory authority. So if we can find an individual to hold criminally accountable for fraud and corruption there, that I would say is a very good starting point. And if that was to happen, I would put my hand up and I'd be quite willing to be involved in such an action.
Dr. Anthony Turton, thank you indeed for being with us on the show this morning on that very dark and disastrous note regarding the water situation in KZN. We need to wrap up. Thank you once again for your time. It is exactly 10 after 10 o'clock on News and Views.